dollars in debt, which is more than twice the amount that he suggested. His loans are spread out over more than a dozen different assets like these you're seeing there, including hotels, buildings, golf courses, and the like. If he wins a second term, at least 8 big loans will come due while he's in office. And those buildings you just saw, that's not even half of the properties that the president owes money on. I want to bring in David K. Johnston. He's a tax expert and the co-founder of DCReport.org. David's also the author of The Making of Donald Trump. So as we get into this, David, I want to get your reaction to the Forbes story to start off here. The president, yes, he may be wealthy on paper, but hundreds of millions of dollars in debt coming due during a potential second term, that is not nothing.
No, it's not. And with respect to Forbes, which has done wonderful work on this, this is actually not new to those of us who closely track Donald Trump's money. The reality is that the federal disclosure rules have a lot of loopholes in them. And those of us who follow him know for a long time that he's owed over $1 billion that we're aware of. There may actually be even more debt that's owed. On the other hand, it is not unusual, Alex, for a very wealthy business owner to have a lot of debt. The interesting thing about Trump's debt is two things. One, he personally guaranteed over $300 million of it that would come due during a second Trump administration. Normally real billionaires, and Trump is not a billionaire as I analyze his money, they don't sign personal guarantees because they have plenty of assets to pledge that are worth enough to cover any debts they take on. But secondly, and really importantly, does anybody think that a bank regulated by the federal government is going to foreclose on President Donald Trump? Let's get real. They're not going to do that.
So I want to play something else, David, that raised some eyebrows during his town hall. Watch this one.
I have a very, very small percentage of debt compared. In fact, some of it I did as favors to institutions that wanted to loan me money.
Favors to institutions that wanted to loan me money. What does that even mean?
It's another example of Donald creates his own reality. He just makes stuff up. You know, one day he told me he was worth $3 billion at about 10 o'clock in the morning. And at 3 in the afternoon, he told a journalist in New York City he was worth $5 billion. He just makes this stuff up.
Yeah, I've got to say that really reflects what Michael Cohen was telling me last weekend about how he wanted to inflate his self-worth and did so. There's also something that I want to ask you about, which you tweeted a bit earlier last week, and you pointed out that there's no evidence of Trump owing any money to Russia, but he does owe hundreds of millions to Deutsche Bank, and that it would be reasonable to suspect indirect money ties as a result. What do you mean by indirect money ties? What is that?
Well, first of all, we know by the Trump's own account and from various business deals that I and other journalists have taken apart that he's gotten lots and lots of money from Russian criminals who've bought apartments from him and done other things. Deutsche Bank is the favored bank for Russian criminals to launder money. It's been fined over $620 million for doing that in Cyprus, Germany, and the United States. And Deutsche Bank is well known for making loans in which someone puts up a deposit or a letter of credit, a promise to pay, on one side. The bank makes a loan to someone who's not creditworthy, like Donald Trump, knowing that if the loan isn't paid, they can go back to the other party. I mean, it's as if I went to the bank and said, one of my children doesn't qualify for a loan you want to make. I'll put up a deposit, you make them the loan, I'm now insulated, and my name wouldn't appear on the loan papers.
So, okay, so the last question to you is, what are the challenges if the president, since he's personally guaranteed so many loans, what kind of challenges does he face then?
Well, if he doesn't have the cash to pay back when the time comes, the next option is to roll the loans over to new debt. And I don't see any way that banks, including Deutsche Bank, which in the U.S. is regulated by the Trump administration, can make deals with Donald Trump that don't raise fundamental questions about fairness, about corruption, about hidden bribes. I mean, this is the reason presidents of the United States historically have only owned either mutual funds or federal treasury debt and have put it in a blind trust. Donald Trump has an eyes wide open blind trust run by his sons who are running his businesses.
You know what they say, follow the money, which you have done here on the broadcast and do for a living there, David K. Johnston. Thank you so much.